US Special Envoy to Northern Ireland, who brokered the talks resulting in the Good Friday Agreement, has warned the British and Irish Prime Ministers of the importance of preventing a hard border.
The government of the UK and the European Union in December publicly committed that whatever the outcome of their negotiations, it would not include a hard border. Our task is to accept and to insist that that promise be kept.
Brexit negotiators are meeting today to discuss the situation in Ireland. Theresa May has committed to preventing a hard border, including a lack of physical infrastructure. The government has claimed technology can solve the issue, but is not clear on how it'll be done. An investigation by The Times found that Irish residents believe that physical checks on the border would incite violence. Well, Ireland's EU Commissioner says the bloc has accepted that the UK is going through with Brexit and may never return. Meanwhile, a leading think tank has warned that deals for the devolved nations after Brexit need to be rewritten or risk affecting key areas including fishing, farming and the environment. The Institute for Government says Brexit arrangements are placing a strain on Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland ahead of policy changes and the return of some powers from Brussels to Britain. Holyrood and Cardiff Bay have introduced their own legislation seeking to protect the devolved powers, with the Scottish Government accusing Westminster of a power grab. But the Cabinet Office has defended its negotiations.
We have undertaken a great deal of work to strengthen our relationships with the devolved governments as we prepare to leave the EU. The UK government will work in collaboration with the devolved administrations to review our structures and make sure they are fit for purpose in light of our exit from the EU.
For more on this, I'm now joined by Professor John Ryan, a visiting fellow at the London School of Economics. John, the government's always been committed to having no hard border. The EU have said we do not want a hard border. There's still even a worry that there could be from that man, of course, who brokered the Good Friday Peace Agreement.
Indeed. I mean, what I get from the EU and the Irish side is that basically the British government are presenting the same proposals that they put forward after December in terms of what they would do on technology. And the EU and the Irish have said that that's not really going to go anywhere because they haven't given any concrete examples of how they would do the technological solution. So I think that there's a feeling in the EU and in Ireland that the British government are going to take this to the wire and try and get a compromise off the EU and the Irish. So there's a benign neglect on policy in actually putting policies together. The negotiators from the EU and the UK side were supposed to meet, and they haven't because of diary commitments and everything else. That needs to be addressed at some stage. There wasn't really anything to talk about because from the EU side, they've heard nothing new. So there's a problem.
And it's certainly an issue that keeps being kicked down the road, doesn't it, in a way?
It is.
But what would the impact be then? If you're saying there's no technological solution to having an invisible border as such, there are now residents on both sides concerned that any form of physical checkpoint or whatever could lead to tensions.
Yes, I mean, people would, they've stated that there would be civil disobedience. That's at one level. Any physical border could be more than civil disobedience. It could be actually really forceful issues, again, re-emerging 20 years after, as George Mitchell mentioned there, where we got the Good Friday Agreement. And I think this is very clear that if there's a hard border, it could be a precursor to going back to the bad old days.
Right, so how much will this influence and shape the Brexit that perhaps people want but may not get because of the Northern Ireland and Irish border issue?
From Ireland, Northern Ireland perspective, this was always going to be the longest saw on the kind of negotiations. The money issue and the citizens issue were never going to be as complicated as this. I don't see at the moment that there's any solution because at the moment the British are not coming up with anything substantive on this at all. And the Americans are now getting involved because they can see that there's a worry from their perspective that this could really affect, Anglo-Irish relations, and then the Americans might be dragged into that as well. And remember, the United States is one of the biggest foreign direct investors in the Irish Republic, and also they invest in Northern Ireland as well.
is Brexit then at stake, not just because of the border issue, but also just before we were reporting on the Irish border issue, we were talking about the devolved nations all saying they want their own legislation, whether it's farming, fishing or environment. Again, another big stumbling block for the process of Brexit overall?
Yes, in a way it is. There's a power grab by there is a power grab.
Is that true? Because Westminster's been accused of that.
Yes, I think it's true. And I think that they're right to actually put up the contingency planning. The Scottish Parliament have been very active on this. Wales, of course, Northern Ireland doesn't have a government at the moment, but I think they are looking at that. And there are some very important business areas that could be at stake here for Scotland and for Wales. Pharmaceuticals, fishing, these are very important industries for those particular countries. So to get the transfer from EU law and into a UK law, or just emulate that at the beginning might be the answer, but we're going to actually see some complication in the relations between Westminster, Edinburgh, Cardiff and Belfast in that area.
John, good to talk to you. Thank you very much.